Okay, so official sponsor of Irish Rugby, Dove Men Plus Care, is celebrating the start of a brand new season with a new definition of strength, one with care at its centre. Specifically formulated for men, Dove Men Plus Care understands the one tough job of caring for every position you play, delivering superior comfort and protection to active skin. And I'm delighted to say that Dove Men Plus Care Ambassador Ronan Kelleher is with us here at the stadium. How are you, Ronan?
Good, yeah.
Life has been pretty good, I think it's fair to say, for you throughout the entirety of this season. Is it a situation where you're enjoying your rugby now, that you've enjoying your rugby more, I should say, now that you've rose to prominence?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably started back in maybe June, July. Was just lucky enough to get a full pre-season under my belt. And then obviously with the lads away at the World Cup as well, just kind of gave some of us younger lads a bit of an opportunity to try and push into the team, try and stake claim for the jersey.
Did you see that coming, actually, when you thought to yourself, right, 2019 World Cup year, a few of the frontliners will be away, and you thought that opportunity could be something to be seized?
A little bit. I thought there was definitely opportunity there, but I didn't think it was going to come as quickly as it did in the first round. I thought I was going to have to really try and bang down the door of JT and Brian, so it was just, I was lucky enough to just get the opportunity, really, and then went from there.
It's still a brilliant team that was left behind after the lads went to the World Cup. Was there any particular moment that you thought to yourself, right, I've kind of cracked this a little bit, I am now the front runner and I now have the hooker jersey for at least the duration while, say, Sean Cronin is away in Japan?
Not really, no, because just the competition was so high just throughout that you were kind of on your toes every week, and I was just really trying to put my best foot forward each week in training, and so was all the other lads. So even right through the squad, there's even Dan Sheahan and his younger brother Bobby as well, who are all putting their hand up for selection in that hooker jersey. So it was definitely a difficult task throughout, and still at the moment there's still huge competition in the squad. So.
There certainly is. The one thing that's been striking has been the try scoring rate. I'm sure you'll say that there's 99% of the other things that goes unseen, but it is the scores that we notice the most. Is there a trick to that? Is it something that you've always had? Because being in the right place at the right time is not always luck. It's rarely luck, actually.
Well, I don't know. I reckon that rule change a couple of years ago where you have to transfer the ball back really helped us hookers out. Now I'm just sitting at the back of those mauls and getting over. So that's definitely attributed to a lot of them anyway. And just having big pack in front of me and big ball carriers and stuff who get us into the right areas in the field really seem to help more than anything else.
Yeah, it's been well documented that you've obviously played a host of different positions. Does that help as well, your awareness of the different roles within the scrum and further back the pitch as well?
Maybe slightly, yeah. But I think it's probably the training that we're doing at the moment. Everyone's able to kind of fit in everywhere around the pitch. So it would just be a lot of unstructured stuff, and then we also get given a bit of license to play as well, and just see what's in front of us and act off that. So that's probably the main thing, I'd say. Yeah,
because we hear about that unstructured stuff quite a bit. It's one of Lancaster's main thoughts, is that unstructured play should be something that you do in training. So when you're doing that, are you showing up in wide positions? Are you showing up outside the pack very often?
Well, yeah, it kind of just wherever you end up on a turnover, really. And you just kind of look up, and if there's space in front of you, you try and call for the ball to attack that space. And if not, there's space elsewhere, so you're just moving into that position to really try and get your hands on the ball and just try and do something with it.
Is that something that you had a good understanding of before you started working with Stuart?
And
with Leo as well?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but it was more, I think it was more the way we've been training the last 3 years. So it hasn't just been this year, it's been a culmination of the last couple of years just in training with the lads, and just doing those high tempo Tuesday sessions that have really managed to make it become second nature when you're out in the field then, really.
So Tuesdays is the day. Today is the day, really, that you should be out on the Leinster pitch, and I presume every week you're just kind of making incremental gains. For anybody who hasn't seen it, the articles written about you in terms of your previous positions, I'm not sure do we have enough time to go through all the previous positions you have had. You might just talk us through your journey as a rugby player, where you started to how you ended up at hooker.
Well, all throughout the junior school and when I was very young, I was kind of playing every position, as every kid does, really. And then when I got into the senior school, I kind of just kind of very quickly shifted to the front row. Like so, I was put in at prop when I was at under 13s, and then I pretty much played prop for the next couple of years, just alternating between loose head and tight head. And then basically my coach told us when I was going into third year that look, just to add another string to your bow, just learn to try and hooker throw. So worked hard on that, but didn't really come to anything until fourth year. Like so, I was just working hard at it in third year, but wasn't really getting played in the hooker position. But I was always third or fourth choice thrower. Like so, I'd always just work on it anyway, just in case it ever materialised that I have to play. And then by fourth year, I was put into the hooker position, but then sixth year I was back in at loose head prop. Like so,
Okay.
It was actually all right. But then I was lucky that Peter Smith actually brought me in as a hooker into the academy, like because I hadn't had any rep rugby really. Like I'd only played Ireland 18s, so I had no real like FaceTime with the coaches that were making the decisions and stuff. So I was lucky he just took a chance on me, and then it kind of went from there.
As a scrummager, how different is it technically going from a prop to a hooker?
Oh, it's night and day.
What's the biggest difference?
Like to be honest, it's kind of completely different. Like even from the setup, and then like as a loose head prop, you're kind of hitting in, and like not really sure about what it's like at this level now. But I just found that, to be honest, I just felt myself more at home as a hooker. Like just kind of liked that I was square in the scrum, like that I wasn't just have my right shoulder on the tight head and then my left shoulder trying to keep it up. Like I just found that like if I could get myself into a good nice square position, I found it more comfortable in there. Right. And then the striking of it as well was obviously a skill that I had to try and develop pretty quick and pretty late on into my career. Like so, yeah. So
obviously the striking skill wouldn't be something that you would have had developed whatsoever as a prop. It's remarkable, really. Like I know you said there at the start that as playing junior rugby, everybody's playing different positions. That's where you have to start. But you often wonder, should more kind of older teams, underage teams, still be encouraging more people to try out different positions? Like I'm sure at the age of 14 to 16 you're starting to find your mould, but for you it sounds like you were 16 years old before you actually started to realise that hooker was for you, and maybe the specialisation in the position should actually be left on the long finger for coaches.
Yeah, probably. Not too sure, to be honest. It just kind of seemed to work for me slightly, but I know there's other people who kind of were in their position at the age of 12 and never really ventured too far. So it just kind of depends what works for the individual, I think. But yeah, not too sure.
And did you play different sports as well as a kid, or was it just different positions within rugby?
No, I would have played. So I played like pretty much all sports. I played like Gaelic football, played basketball in school, played tennis, and then like that was all the way up, and played soccer as well all the way up through. And then I kind of stopped. I stopped the Gaelic football and basketball probably after first year, maybe second year, just to try and focus on rugby. But like all throughout my childhood and all the way up, I was playing like multiple sports and just kind of had training in different sport every day. Like so, it was good. Yeah, enjoyed it at the time. Like, but now I'm obviously very glad that I chose rugby in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. People tend to say basketball is the one that helps other sports the most. Was that the case for you?
Yeah, I'd say so. Just kind of hand-eye coordination and stuff like that. Just in particular helps with rugby and stuff as well. But you can get stuff from all the different sports, like something like soccer, just kind of seeing the space and just trying to attack into the space. So that kind of improves your vision a lot. So like even on the rugby pitch, just scanning up in front of you, that kind of helps a lot in that. And then like Gaelic football is the same with the hand-eye coordination. Same with basketball, and like that's probably the main thing. It's
amazing that you've mentioned space in the context of soccer and in the context of a Tuesday session with Leinster Rugby. It seems to be gaining more and more importance. I guess when you think about the last couple of years, think of everything you've come through, I'm actually surprised that you haven't mentioned hurling, because I think your dad was more of a hurler than anything else, was he?
Yeah, he was, and he kept trying to push us into hurling when we were younger. But now we just decided Gaelic football is probably more the sport for us, and went from a GAA perspective. And then so I think there was actually a clash maybe in our club at the time, so we just never really got into hurling, like. But yeah, he was always pushing us, and he'd always bring us to Crow Park whenever Cork were playing, like. So right, okay. So despite his best efforts, we managed to avoid it. Was it a All-Ireland semi-final a few years ago, Cork-Dublin? Did you have the red jersey on that day at Croke Park, or like were you supporting your own county? No, by that stage I was a big Dub fan. Myself and my brother actually went with him, and all our cousins who are also from Cork. So I think the Dubs were up for the majority of it. So we were talking a big game, and then all of a sudden the tide changed pretty quick. So
yeah, I think it was the sending off that day, wasn't it? They did for Dublin. Your father was your principal, obviously, in St. Michael's. Like that's an interesting environment for any kid being in a school where their dad is the principal, and obviously coming from a good sporting background himself. What was his influence like, and even just separately from the principal role in your life as a young rugby player?
It was huge, really. Just from when we were very young, brought us to our first rugby club, Bective Rangers. So just brought me down there, brought me and my brother, and just we loved it, really. And then he just kept supporting us throughout, really. Like, he didn't try and push us into hurling for one. Like, so he allowed us make our own choices in whatever sport we wanted, and then he kind of just supported us from there. And then even from school perspective, it was always actually very handy having him there. Like, I know a lot of people think it's very strange that your father's the principal, like, but yeah, like, I had nothing but positive experience about it anyway, and yeah, really enjoyed my time at St. Michael's. Yeah,
I'd imagine every rugby player around your age has had a positive experience with your father as principal, because really, if you go through the history of the school, it's been under him as principal that things have gone very far. Obviously, I'm sure he's not going to claim all the credit for that, but what do you put it down to, the recent huge success of Michael's?
To be honest, I think there was a substantial culture change maybe around 2006, 2007, which kind of really set the tone. They brought in new coaches who had a vision for just what they wanted Michael's to be, and then just the support staff and stuff. And then I actually coach in Michael's. I go back there and do like the 13s and stuff. So nothing too serious. But it's just, I think it's the past pupils that they want to come back and they want to do a bit of coaching and stuff, and that kind of helps out a lot. Especially Harry Byrne and stuff would have coached with me the 13s last year, and then when I was younger, Ross Maloney coached myself and James when we were at seniors, myself, James and Max. And then Max and James came back as well. So I think it's just the past people's wanting to come back, wanting to help out, wanting to coach the younger lads is kind of a big part of it anyway.
What is that culture? I know it's such a nebulous phrase sometimes, but what did it become? Because the names you mentioned there yourself, James, Max, you can basically kind of pick all the recent emergences in Irish rugby, and there's a decent chance that one of them or a couple of them have come from St. Michael's.
To be honest, I'm not really sure what the culture change was really. I think it was just kind of a selfless thing. It was just try to give back more than anything else. As in, the school ended up giving us so much in the end that there's a good few of us now playing professional rugby. And I think just a lot of it was due to the lads who came back and helped us and helped progress our game. So Em McMahon came back, and now I think we might have 5 or 6 professional second rowers. So that was just huge. He was a second row himself and good player as well. So he came back, helped out, coached, and then as a result of his influence, obviously Maloney came back, Ryan Baird came back, Oisin Dowling came back to coach a little bit, so did James Ryan. So I think that's part of it anyway. And
when you're training as somebody in St. Michael's, obviously the Schools Cup is so huge that there isn't much of a focus outside of that. But are you thinking about the Leinster Academy? Are you thinking about that professional contract after school?
To be honest, not at the time, no, because the Schools Cup kind of takes precedence over everything really. At that stage, I remember wouldn't have really thought about it too much. None of us really did. And then it's not only until you get asked to come into the Leinster 20s setup in the summer that you think, okay, I need to try and seal my place in the sub academy here. And then from there you're just trying to go into the academy. But whilst in school, it's not really in your thought process really, I don't think.
Okay, that's interesting, because we've had so many conversations on the show over the last couple of months just about how well set Leinster are in terms of the academy, in terms of the conveyor belt of young talent that's coming through, and there was actually a conversation we were having, and it's kind of an out there idea over the last couple of days about the possibility of a draft in rugby, because there's such a great conveyor belt within Leinster that almost if you could split the resources between Leinster, Munster, Ulster and Connacht, you would have an unbelievable spread that who knows what the next Ronan Kelleher is that's coming through that's not going to get the opportunity in Leinster, but because they're from Leinster, they're going to find a professional contract perhaps harder to come by. Like, it may be completely ridiculous in your head, but I'd be interested in your thoughts.
I just don't really think that would work, because the provincial system, like, it's kind of tribal, like, as in, like, you want to play for your province, like I grew up supporting Leinster, like, and then, like, I grew up supporting Leinster, saw the successes Munster had in the early 2000s and stuff, but, like, never crossed my mind to play for Munster, like. Then I always just wanted to play for Leinster, so I think it would be difficult enough to tell a young school kid straight out of school who, like, has dreams of playing for his province to say, no, you're not playing for your team, you're going playing in Leinster, you're going playing in Munster, you're playing in Galway or Ulster either, like. So, like, it'd be very difficult, I think, to tell a young player that they can't, like, chase their dream anyway, like.
Yeah, in fairness, I think most people do agree with you, especially people who go to all the Pro 14 games, and I'm sure there's plenty of Munster people who totally agree with you as well, that, you know, they kind of value what Leinster have going on there, and Munster had their own thing going on for a while as well when the club game was thriving. So it's an interesting one, but obviously it's probably not something that's going to happen perhaps ever, or certainly anytime soon. Just as a final point, Ronan, I guess it's Six Nations time. It's an amazing opportunity for you. You've been in an Andy Farrell camp at this point. It was a stock take before Christmas. What is that camp like? What's the atmosphere like? Is it a situation where there's going to be a big change post Joe Schmidt in your view? Because obviously you hadn't been in with Schmidt.
But I'm not too sure, to be honest, because obviously I wasn't in. But it was all really positive. It was looking towards the future, and it was looking towards the Six Nations, first things first. So yeah, we're really looking forward to getting stuck in now. I think we have a meeting now, and then we'll get after it in Portugal then.
Are you after that number 2 jersey from the very start?
Yeah, as we all are, myself, Rob and Dave. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be a good battle anyway. So just hopefully I can stake a claim anyway.
Well, congratulations on the season so far, Ronan. It's been great chatting to you. Very best of luck for the Six Nations.
Cheers. Thanks very much.